And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to Did You Know This week. I'm excited. We have a very, very special guest here today that I can't wait to introduce you to. He is an award winning speaker. He's a Sharp Tank contestant coach, international corporate communications trainer, teaching business English. He's an acting coach, plus a chess and poker enthusiast. He has worked with corporate giants like Amazon, Lowe's Home and Improvement, Google, and Apple, just to name a few. He's a graduate of the University of Southern California and the American Academy of the Dramatic Arts, with a network of clients from China, Japan, and Saudi Arabia. Please help me welcome the CEO, founder, and trainer of Showman Communications Interactive. Please welcome Josh.
Hello.
Hey, Josh.
Thanks for having me, Amina.
Man, you have an impressive resume. Impressive resume. I want to
Oh, well,
dive
yeah.
into some of your career, but I first want to start with asking you, who are you? I start my show the same way. I'm curious about individuals that are in this space. So, who are you, Joshua?
I like that question because I think when we ask who are you or what we do, our identities get mixed up and they get confused. I'm just a regular person, right?
Yeah.
Who loves to communicate and talk with other people. And as I learned things
Mhm.
along the way, I took a lot of notes and I was excited to be able to teach them. And as I got good at different things or better, right? Because we're always striving, whether it's public speaking or communication or sales or business, what have you, even chess and poker, I said I could teach these things and
Mhm.
effectively. And so I am a coach at the end of the day. There's distinctions between coach, teacher, consultant, whatever it might be. But the idea of helping someone get their best self into the world is meaningful to me.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, you have a diverse background, and I've gone on your website, reviewed a lot of the services that you provide to clients, spanning over corporate communications and sales training. Can you tell us what was your journey like with putting all of these different fields together, combining them as a service that you provide?
Well, I always liked and had many different disparate interests. There's an interesting book by David Epstein called Range: How Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World. And I've always been intrigued that many of the things I teach and that I'm involved in are under the umbrella of effective communication, whether it's, as I mentioned, speaking or sales or acting or voice or stand up comedy, which is the ultimate of public speaking, or chess and
Mm-hmm.
poker, where we go, oh my gosh, I didn't see that. And in speech, we go, I didn't mean to say that. And converging them over the time has been very interesting as a coach because people ask me when I was presenting and speaking, whether I was in sales and I decided to speak to a large audience instead of just one on one. Right? It was more effective for prospecting or lead generation. And those became unique opportunities. And then as a result, I had other careers as an actor, but I hated, as I joke, twiddling my thumbs, waiting, for my agent to call so I can get maybe 5 lines on a TV show. I wanted to find ways that I could do more and develop that and do it on the daily, like that Stephen Covey concept, 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, a very famous book. And one of the notions is sharpen the saw. I mentioned this a lot in conversations where if you do what you do day in and day out, you're going to get very good at it. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how I kind of cultivated this over time to be cohesive and effective for people to learn and grow and get to another level. Because I was never satisfied, Amina, with when they say, just be yourself. I don't want to be myself. I wanted to be next level of myself. And my
Right.
girlfriend's son, sweet guy, he's 28. When he was 22, he said, can you make me a 2.0? And I did a seminar and 500 people came up and it was like, your apps update, do you become a 2.0? And like our phones, our technology, even what we're working in VR is constantly evolving and developing. I think we do too. And now with AI and all the wonderful things out there, people are going to want to talk to real people. We're just going to do it in a different way.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that.
It's here. We're doing it right now.
We are. We are. Can you imagine when the rest of the world finally catches up to know what we're doing here in this space? It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
So with your experience, you've worked with 45 different organizations. What has been one of the most rewarding things that you've worked on or project that you've contributed to?
Well, I think I've had many different kinds because I tailor my programs around what people's needs are. So I've had a lot of unique formats where a CEO may say, Joshua, I'm having trouble with my team in brainstorming. So I would put together a training and a module on how we can get those dumb ideas on the board, right? Because sometimes in our meetings, to really innovate, we have to create and come up with ideas. And some of them are not the most brilliant. Okay, fine. But we have to be confident that we can still put them up on the board, and everybody wants to be perfect and everything has to be exactly right. It doesn't. And so some of those moments are my most proud where I can create some stuff that exists but was never in curriculum or never in format. And I have those now as part of my syllabus. So over years, I've developed curriculum and materials. I have over 200 modules of trainings that I do.
So for each industry that you're working on in, you have a separate curriculum for each
Not
that you mo-
necessarily because it's
mm,
individuals. Like I work with a lot of engineers, but it
mhm.
could be in software engineering and civil engineering and electric engineering and computer, whatever it might be. But they all work in the same mindset, and many of them struggle to get promoted to managerial levels. By the way, whether English is their second language or not, I mean, many of the folks I work with everybody, and that element is important whether we're native speakers. However, for folks with English as second language, that's a very unique niche because their English skills are strong enough, but they get to just like one part. They don't break through and find their full success. I love how when I do that, it gives me that little, and that's what we're trying to do. I want people to be able to do that so they can get promoted to managerial opportunities or start their own business. You know, I want people to eventually quit their jobs. Why? Because particularly here in the States, I mean, people just chase salary and health insurance, take me to your leader. But we
Mhm.
need to find ways that, hey, I can make enough and work hard and build a company or business or consulting, whatever you might do, and you could pay for your own health insurance.
Mhm. I love that. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about because you've mentioned this a few times about the business English. So are these a lot of international clients that you're working
Yeah.
with to help structure? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I'm working with people literally all over the world. I do 75 coaching sessions a week. I do one-on-one group classes, 10, 12, sometimes 14 in a day, groups, one-on-ones. And I mention on 8 time zones because I'm literally, I have a lot of clients in Europe and I have a lot of clients in Saudi Arabia. In fact, my evenings sometimes at 8:30 at night, that's 6:30 a.m. the next morning in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And so I travel quite a bit also physically. I was just in Saudi Arabia this past spring. I have a lot of Saudi clients. I did trainings for their teams and their companies. But I also spoke at the Big Leap Conference, which is a big tech conference. And there were 215,000 people at that event, all through Europe and all through Asia. And I did not come across one American. It was crazy.
Mhm.
And so it was a very interesting opportunity. Now in January, I'm going to Pakistan. I'll be speaking at the Future Fest conference in Lahore, which will also be a unique opportunity. But we forget how small. I mean, the whole world is a big place, and
Mhm.
I'm interacting with people from all over the place, and many of them want to really, as I mentioned, get their English to another level. And it's about confidence. I think that's the number one thing that people ask me. Again, for native speakers and folks with English as a second language, how I could be more confident as a communicator. And that might mean enhancing our vocabulary. It might mean enhancing our idioms with English as a second language. And as native speakers, I often say they struggle with knowing the difference between metaphors or similes,
Mhm.
right? Figures of speech, or even onomatopoeia or malaprops or alliteration. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream 8 times. That's actually called anaphora. He said it once, he said it again. He said it 8 times. He realized he was onto something. And it was a fascinating way that made that speech so effective. And so these are things I love to teach. And I don't get too nerdy. I mean, I'm an English teacher at the end of the day with all this. But we all can be better communicators and have more effective ways to get across those ideas.
You're right on that. I think when we were all in school, we probably all got hit on the hand for using improper English at one point. And even though that we're getting older or older, we should all be trying to polish and continuously get better. I am one of
Yeah.
those as well. So I'll be checking you out for for some more
Me
coaching and
too.
public speaking. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier about how much you travel, just with reaching out to you to pin down a time. You you're busy, like 60 hours a week. You're
Oh,
in
more than that,
here.
my dear. uh,
You're
I'm pushing over 90 to 100 hours. But listen, people who are entrepreneurs and businesses, they work hard. You know, if you, as my mama said, you love what you do, you're never going to work a day in your life.
That's
But,
right.
but there's another side to that, which I speak of frequently. You got to feed your soul, not just your wallet. You got to find things that are really driving you. And I think when you do, you're not even thinking about how much work you're doing or what you're doing. And so when I have a cancellation, and part of that is managing our time better, right?
Mm-hmm.
I teach a program on time and goal management. You can't just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk. And even now, I had a cancellation in a meeting, is how I was able to facilitate so we could do this today. So there's no lost time for anything. And this is just as important as anything else I would do.
Well, you kind of answered with what my next question would be is how do you manage your time? Being in a space like this, time so quickly get away from us in virtual reality. And plus what we have to do in the real world, our families. How do you
Hmm.
manage?
I have a process, and we when we're on a deserted island, we say SOS, save our souls. And sales, I say save our sales, right? Because when you're speaking, you don't get a pat on the back, right? It's you either get the deal or you don't. And speech, I'm a teacher, right? Sales, save our speech. But the most important one, and this is how I process my time and organize things, is systemize, optimize, scale. What is your process flow and how can you be more effective, right? To optimize and be most efficient and scale, how can it grow? How can it develop? How can, yes, you make more nickels, but also how can we build our vocabulary? Or how can we, as we know in business, it's not just what we know, it's who we know and who knows us. So
Mm-hmm.
that element, that is a process. And I do, for instance, as an example, my day to day, I start off with 3 in the morning. Okay. Then I have a break and I work out. Then I have lunch. Then I do another 3 or 4 in the afternoon, back to back. And I love to introduce people to other people that I haven't met before or groups or whatever circumstance. Then I have another break and I have dinner with my sweetheart and then play with my dogs. I have two cute Yorkshire Terriers, Lola and Gigi. And then I come back and I do another 2. I have a little break. Then I know another 3, maybe into the evening. And I don't even think about it. And yeah, I get time to watch an hour of our shows with my sweetheart and, and relax. And she's appreciative. I don't work Saturdays anymore. I used to work 7 days a week. I shifted that around a little bit to accommodate more for family time and things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and everybody's happy. I have time to see my friends and my family, and my mom is in Texas. I try to get out there as often as I can. I'm in Los Angeles to go see her in Dallas, and my sisters, and they're all over the place in New York, here in LA, and in Dallas. And I grew up with a big family. I have 4 sisters. One passed away years ago. God bless Diane. But
Okay.
the rest, we're a very tight family, and so yeah.
So the key is being organized, planning the schedule, sticking to it, making the adjustments,
Work
managing your time
smarter,
well.
not harder. Work
I can
smarter,
take
not
that.
harder. Even though it sounds like a lot of work, it
Mm-hmm.
fills up. When I have a cancellation, and I rarely do, I send reminders the day before. Clients, I know if they're not make it, I can put in a meeting. I could put in a demo. I could put in next week. I'm doing an audio event on LinkedIn. I have my own talk show on there. We're going to talk about the metaverse and VR. You're going to be there as well on LinkedIn, and I do that typically once a month. So there's manages ways that we could do it, and I think this is healthier for people too. Amina, I think young people, for instance, for those listening, fill up your schedule. I mean, if you don't
Mhm.
have 10, 12, 14 clients a day, fine. Then start off with I'm working out. I'm going to spend an hour for reading. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure I'm going to play with my dogs and I'm going to make sure I have time for that. When I get breaks or cancel it, I run over there. I play with my dogs. It's good for your spirit, it's good for your sense of self. And you feel good. You get endorphins, right?
Mhm.
And you don't have toxic people in your life. If you got people who are giving you a hard time or struggling or putting you down, then clean house. I tell young people that all the time. You're not have to be friends with these people you've known since childhood just because you have that history. I mean, my father used to say, and I talk about this, show me your friends, I'll show you who you'll be. Pick We pick
Mhm.
better friends. We pick better, fascinating people to hang out with and learn from and grow, and wonderful things happen from that.
Yeah, I've heard the statement, if you're the smallest, if not smallest, if you're the smartest person in your group, you're hanging around the wrong people. You're hanging around the wrong people. Need to level up, get some other people around you that you can learn from.
I like
Absolutely.
I like the video game reference. Level up.
So listen, Shark Tank, that's one of my favorite shows. I love it. Tell me about your experience with working with different clients that are going on the show. What is that
Sure.
coaching technique like?
Let me explain how that works because, I don't work for the studios. I don't work for
Mm-hmm.
ABC. I work for
Mm-hmm.
contestants who have reached out to me. That's just a segment of what I do because I've been working with startups and entrepreneurs for many years. And so as a result, I started working with one, then another, and another, and I helped them with their auditions and their preparation for that. But listen, I'm going to tell you, Mina, I don't really care if they get on the show or not. That's not the focus. Our goal
Yeah.
is I want them to be prepared for real seed round funding, for real when you got to explain not just the genesis of your company and how it started, but how you're going tell me about the financials and the fundamentals. The show gets into the fun elements and they deal with the pathos and humor and cute storylines and all that. But in real life, if you want cap raise, there's got to be a more effective pitch process and it has to have legs. And so that is one element of what I do. I don't market myself as a Shark Tank contestant coach. I appreciate you
Mm-hmm.
talk about it, and I know it's interesting to people, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a segment of what I do. I want to work with real people building real businesses and
Mm-hmm.
have real opportunities. And as you may know, and it's not a secret, most people, even if you interview or pitch on that show, you lose some of the rights of your business in different ways. And so that's not
Mm-hmm.
as interesting for me for them to take that shot. It's kind of like a lottery. Maybe you get on there or not. There's so many reasons why they may or may not pick someone. It's not about the viability of the product in the market space.
Mm-hmm. It's about teaching them how to pitch their brand.
Pitch,
Definitely.
present, and persuade. I have a new building, as you know, coming out here in the
Yes.
300 block in the city of Adam on 300 Golden Avenue. You can check it out soon. We're going to be launching. And I have a scroll, I have a banner on my front of my building, and it says, learn to pitch, present, and persuade. And that's what my website does too. And that's what I want folks to be able to walk away, that they can confidently tell people about what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and that would increase as a result what we call close ratio, the chance that people might want your product or your services.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of your building on the 300 block, right across the street from us, tell us what brought you to the metaverse to bring your branding in here. You're established in the real world. What made you make the decision to come to the metaverse?
Well, I'm very excited. I've been on and working in Metaverse for about 8 years now. I've had some Indian companies I was working on other products and services we were creating. But as you know, this industry is changing exponentially. And the problem is, as you put a lot of money into it, in 6 months, it could be a completely different landscape. So it can get a little frustrating. Now, I've been on the Oculus. This is the fourth iteration I've had, the MetaQuest 3 of devices. And as we've gone along, the various varieties of worlds has changed too. Horizon Worlds is just one, as we know, of many iterations of the metaverse on the whole landscape of the internet, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
now people forget that Facebook changed their name to Meta
Meta.
for a reason. So when
Mhm.
I started, and I do workout for 5 years. I've been doing workouts in VR, Supernatural. It's a great VR workout. Boom, boom. You hit these little things. It's a great workout. And then after, guess what? I go to Soapstone. You know Soapstone. It's a comedy
Mhm.
place. I put my name on there for stand up comedy for open mic, and I do that 3 times a week. I do stand up and I do comedy stuff, or actually teaching public speaking comedy about comedy. So about because most people who do stand up don't really know public speaking, and I'm
Mhm.
giving them tips and information. And then I'd come out, and oh my gosh, Amina, 10, 12 people would come up and start talking to me like I'm at a conference and I'm giving out business cards. And so we're all connecting with each other, right? And then
Yeah.
as a result, I met some fascinating people. And one person suggested this, that, the other, different worlds. And then I did my research and I said, who are the top two builders of in this primitive space in Horizon Worlds? And your company, Primitive Shapes, came as one of the suggestions. And I met with a couple of your folks, and boom, before we know it, I had confidence. I said, let's do it. And I procured their services, and I'm very excited as we launch in the next few weeks, as we build that, and I'll have my own space, as you know.
Yes. And they were absolutely correct. The Golden Hand and Dunderbills are the top builders here in Horizon Worlds. Proud to work alongside of those gentlemen. Really
Absolutely.
looking forward to you seeing your space when it's ready. What are some of the
Yeah.
services that you're going to provide out of your office space?
Well, so instead of me maybe necessarily going to other locations to do those little events, I'll have my own speaking events after my workout every week. So
Mm-hmm.
3 days a week, I'm going to go work out. Then I'll come and I'll have an hour segment where I'll do workshops, seminars, courses. I will give free content and information so people can come and learn. They know weekly what I'm going to be doing, what options, whether it's public speaking or sales training. Maybe I'll do one on this. Maybe I'll do one on that. Maybe I'll give a chess clinic or a poker clinic. And over time, people will find it interesting. And if they want, they'll be able to come, lift up their goggles, go into the real world, connect with me on LinkedIn professionally, what have you, go to my website and maybe work on with me on Zoom. Or if they have their own company, they'll probably say, Joshua, because almost every CEO, every CTO, CFO, anybody in C suite I've ever worked with has at one point said, Joshua, will you come fly out to Atlanta or come out to New York or Seattle and train my team? And so inevitably that's part of the business that I do. And I'm proud of those work, which enables me to do things for free. I want to make sure that there's professional coaching available to people who really want it. And even in my courses, I will work with people, hell or high water, to make it as accessible and affordable as possible. I work with companies and I appreciate the work that I'm doing with them. Um, but I have long term pricing, and I'll do that sometimes for shorter programs for consumers or entrepreneurs or startups so that they can get out there and not waste a lot of time and build their business properly.
Mm-hmm. So most of your clients already have headsets, or do
Oh,
you
many of
have
them
to?
do because I teach chess. I've also been using Chess Club VR for years, teaching chess in there. And now, as of this past summer, we were able to go into augmented reality. So it's a whole nother, element of mixed realities, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and virtual rooms as well. And I hope eventually to be doing that in my building where, or at least you'll be able to go into the building and then click and connect to the other software so we can get into proper gameplay and such. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'll have offices and spaces, in an auditorium and areas where I'll be able to do a lot of my regular events in my own space, and I can market it in the real world, whether it's an IG or in Facebook, whatever. I'm on WeChat and Chinese social media, and I'm on Line in Japan. I'm on Keiko Talk in Korea social media, Link, which is India, which is now the largest populous nation in the world over China. I just did, as you may have seen, that man on the street video
I
for
did.
Chinese social media and TikTok, and it went crazy. And I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of calls a day for coaching
And his name is
from this
Jackson,
one
right?
little Jackson. Yeah, this 13-minute.
Mm-hmm.
He's a popular Chinese vlogger, and but that's going on all over the world. So I have Chinese clients in Australia now. I have Chinese clients, get this, in Denmark, in Antwerp, in Canada, in the States, and not only Chinese, of course, people from all over. Many people on WeChat. I've been on WeChat for years because I have a lot of Chinese business clients. I actually have business cards in Chinese and in Korean, and I work extensively with the Japanese community here in Los Angeles as well for training and coaching.
I saw that the video that you just mentioned that has gone viral with Jackson. You
Hmm.
met him in the street and he just started interviewing you.
Yeah,
I
he just flagged me down, said, "Sir, can I ask you some questions?" And listen, I was booted up, suited up, had my tie on, I guess, and you just thought you wanted to talk about something. I've seen those videos, though. I mean, I didn't want to get into this. Are you going to start talking about how much I make or what my is that my Lamborghini? And that's not me, and that wasn't really
Yeah.
my vibe. But he asked me one point about that, and I didn't really go there. You may notice in the interview,
Mhm.
and I flipped it because I think people need to be focusing on other pursuits on what they're looking for. So
Mhm. Mhm. You know what? One thing that I thought that was so interesting and about being prepared for your customers, you had business cards in Chinese language. You had
yeah,
business cards in Japanese language. I thought that was so dope. And just
sorry,
how
I
you
had a phone call.
cater to your clients with being prepared. I thought that was extraordinary.
Well, they
And,
appreciate that. They
mhm.
they they acknowledge that I made that effort. I want them to be more confident in Asian culture. I mean, there's an interesting distinction in how we do business in North America. In Asian culture, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. But in North America, the nail that sticks up gets opportunity, advancement, promotion, recognition, reward. It's a completely different philosophy. And so I want them, it's not about introvert or extrovert, it's a cultural element. So here, I mean, you can become, I won't go there, but man, you can become president of the United States for good or bad, right? I mean, there's a whole element of those things. So I want people to be more confident, to be able to present and speak. And sometimes it's not about introvert, extrovert. You got to put on the cap, that sales cap, put yourself out there and get past your nerves and anxiety, which I teach, by the way. I know how to get rid of those stresses and anxiety of public speaking. I know what they are. It's the number one fear in the world, by the way,
Mhm.
speaking, whether it's spiders flying or death. It's the number one. But there are no tigers, no lions. There's no bears oh my chasing me. So I don't know why we people get all anxious. Our heart palpitates, we sweat, we physically think we're under duress and stress. We're not. We have to have a conversation with our little inner self, right? That id. You heard that id? I don't know what it stands for. I'm going to call it inner demon.
Yeah.
Something's telling you what you can't do, what you can't do.
But Josh, what do most of the people say they are afraid of when they have to speak publicly?
I
What
know what
is
it is. It's
what?
unknowns. So get this. If someone says to me, Amina, Joshua, I don't have a problem with 5 people or my small team. But when I have to get up in front of 40, 50, 100 people, I get so nervous and anxious. And so what that tells me, because this is the thing, right? The imposter syndrome, fraud notion. So what they're telling me is if you get into in front of a larger group, are you saying statistically there's more chance that someone's going to figure you out that you don't know what you're talking about? So that's not belief in yourself. If you know what you're talking about, that's empowering because you know something that they don't know. That's extraordinary. And you can't wait to share it. How do you have time to be nervous or anxious? And so I have processes to go through that. And I'll give it to your audience right now. Essentially, I call it an intake form. 5 things you should be asking: who, what, when, where, why, how. If you know those answers to your speech and presentation, because you only speak in front of people, I mean, for 2 reasons. Either you ask for the opportunity or someone asks you. So be ready in those circumstances. I'm walking down the street. This young man just hails me down. I had my head on a swivel. My head wasn't in my phone walking down the street. I'm ready at any given point. Someone wants me to speak, present, put me in, coach. You sent me an email. You had all these details and stuff. And I'm like, just ask me what you want to ask me. I'm ready to go. In regards to the realm, you're not going to be asking me today about macrobiology unless you want to, but I don't think so.
Not today.
But
Not
you see where I'm
today.
going? I mean, that element, and that can help us to determine those things so we can be more effective.
Mhm. I want to go back to that video that Jackson recorded because it was something that you mentioned in there that was it was a gold nugget. Passion versus the why element. Can you
Well, not
explain that?
versus passion is the why element
Okay.
because I think knowing, and Simon Sinek, the famous, he did a TED talk on why about Apple. He didn't invent this concept, but he wrote a book about why, right? Great leaders inspire, how to inspire other great leaders into action, and just start with why is the title of the book. And you got to be clear. Your reasoning, whoops, hold on a second. I got you got to be clear your reasoning of why you're doing something. And there'd
Mm-hmm.
be two reasons why you present or speak. You may have a why because you know what, you got your company's getting together, you had a problem, the company's being sued. You got to know why, what's going on. But if your boss asks you to speak in front of other people at your company, I promise you, you're up for a promotion. You don't even know it. He wants to see what you got. Can you actually pull it out? Can you do this? How can you speak in front of other people? You can't just know your work. You have to be able to present. So let me talk about this premise. In the video, I mentioned that quotients, right? Because we have IQ, how smart we are. Who cares? Listen, a lot of people, I mean, you and I know people who just memorize stuff they heard the night before and then they just regurgitate it, from the news or from someone something said the next day.
Mm-hmm.
EQ is emotional quotient, empathy, compassion that we have from our fellow human. Companies have been struggling with that, whether Anheuser-Busch or Disney, Nike, of course, Colin Kaepernick. I mean, it is important. Companies are trying to find their why, right? Who, what? I mean, and then the another one would be AQ because we deal with difficult people. We have toxic people in our lives sometimes. We have complicated clients or whatever, family members. That's AQ, adversity quotient. And then there's CQ, which is why we're probably here today, and many people are even checking this out, curiosity quotient. But the most important, and this is my why, is LQ, love quotient. Do you care about what you're talking about? A lot of people come up with logic, learning, leverage, language, lessons, some sort of other kinds of ideas, linguistics. It's not, it's love. Do you care about it? And you've known me for 25, 30 minutes here. You know I love this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
when people love what they're talking about and care about it, you can't deny that. So the why becomes rather evident. Has to be self-evident too, but self-assessment can be askew. But we want to make sure that that is projected.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for clearing that up as well. I want to talk about some of the things that you're very enthusiastic about, poker and chess.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Kids Corner. I find Kids Corner to be very fascinating, and I'm very curious to know, why is it important to teach kids chess?
Oh, you're
What's
referencing my website. It's called
mm-hmm.
Kids Corner.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm going to tell you, it's not just for little kids. I teach as young as 4, 5, 6, but all the way to 90 years old. So we got big kids too. The games of chess and poker, and I'm not going to get into game theory like John Nash stuff, but I will talk about the theory of games. In chess and poker, particularly, we go, oh my gosh, I didn't see that. But in speech, we go, I didn't mean to say that. It's the same part of the brain. And I love the elements of these games, and I play a lot, and I love to teach it because I really believe, Amina, everyone here in your audience should learn how to play chess. Now, poker, it's not about gambling, and I know people have strong feelings about this, that, and the other. We're sitting with 9 other people in poker. You're reading people, body language. There are other skills involved. It's not about luck. I don't believe in luck. I talk about this frequently. There's probability, there's plausibility, and there's actuality. Luck is superstition, it's lazy math. But pattern I can get behind. And I think those elements are key. Meeting that guy, people said, you're so lucky you met that guy on the street. I maybe, but luck and success are, we know it's hard work and opportunity when they collide. When they meet, you're ready to go. And whatever those circumstances might be, and that's why I'm excited about what we're in here, because I think this will be an opportunity for people who can't travel, who can't go from here to there. There are people I work with who have no legs, who are infirmed. I have a lot of former military folks that don't have that kind of mobility. And I'm thrilled that people will have opportunities for coaching. Some people don't even want to go into a live setting. Like they're comfortable in this environment. So there are a myriad of things like that. And so some of those things I think are helpful.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But particularly, well, wait, let me clarify this. In chess and poker, we have 3 parts: decision making faster, problem solving better, and mitigating error and mistake, like making less mistakes. Those things, if they become second nature for you, you're going to have less arguments with people in your life. You're going to have
Mm-hmm.
less problems and situations. You will be a problem solver, right? You will deal with circumstance. I always want to know the reasonable circumstance, how we can find a solution, not how we make things worse. Most of us, an argument, and I'm human like anybody else, we can have a discussion with someone and suddenly it escalates, or someone feels the need to one up you. And so those things can help us tremendously. And the games of chess and poker work on that mindset. And also, it's good. It's going to stave off a lot of dementia and other concerns of Alzheimer's over the years for people as we get older. And there's quite a few folks struggling with that as we get older, of course.
Okay. Outstanding, Joshua. Outstanding. Well, being that you are one of the newest members here in the city of Adam, tell us how Showman Communications Interactive will fit here in the city.
Well, I think it'll be a wonderful destination for a lot of people. A lot of my clients, and I have many, are now buying devices within the last few months in preparation to attend my programs and workshops here in City of Adam. And also my chess programs and other kinds of things. So I'm excited where that's going to lead as opportunities and to offer one more modality of offering my courses and seminars and programs. So that's exciting. Uh, I grew up with a lot of sisters. I was the only boy and 9 grandkids, and I have to tell you, um,
Really?
yeah, when we were talking about poker, a young entrepreneur, she came up to me and she said, "Coach, I want to learn golf." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, you play golf, you know everybody." I said, "Not from golf, from poker." She said, "What?" Because in poker, we're sitting for 6, 7 hours. All we do is talk business, exchange cards. I never see women at the table. And you guys have an opportunity. You are underestimated. And there are 3 types of men you're going to face in business and in poker. She said, "What? The chauvinist, the flirter, and the protector." And if you can learn to arbitrage those 3 attributes against your opponent, oh boy, you're going to crush them every time. So there's a lot of different dynamics of that, just to go back on that. And that's why I'm excited about introducing the games of poker, chess, and speaking at another level. I love the idea, Mina, that we don't know what we don't know. So if people
Mm-hmm.
can refresh in their mindset of what they're receptive to learning, they're going to really get themselves to another echelon, if you will. Because in success, I believe, and I've studied a lot of successful people. Wow, I watch them. I'm curious. There's no there. Once they
Mm-hmm.
get there, they don't like say, "I've arrived." No, then they look, what's next? What's next?
So what huge projects do you have that you're working on that you got coming? What you
Well, I'm
working
excited. I'm
on?
going. I was asked to go to China in a few weeks, and I can't. So they have a big seminar, and they broke it up into 2 days. On the 15th, it'll be 1:30 my time in Los Angeles, their time in the afternoon in China. I'm going to have me on a big screen because I can't fly to China right now. I've got Thanksgiving coming up, a lot of stuff, and then on the day after Thanksgiving, they have another event, a big event in China in Shanghai, and I'm going to be on a huge big screen talking to a bunch of people, and it's going to be 4:30 in the morning my time in Boston because I'm going to be in Boston for Thanksgiving this year. And then in January, I'm going to Shanghai, not Shanghai, I'm sorry, to Pakistan. I'll be speaking at Future Fest. And so I got a lot of different speaking events coming up, and I do a lot of programs here in Los Angeles. I have a lot of former NFL football players for some reason. I guess they didn't get the Tom Brady media treatment, and and if you got a Super Bowl ring on your hand and you ran even if you rode the pine, but you were in the Super Bowl, you're 6'8", 250 pounds, and now you're in real estate. People want to hear from you. They're like, "Come on and talk about how professional athletics and and business coexist." And they've been in real estate for 10 minutes, right? But most linebackers, for instance, in the NFL, they may have 2, 3 years, but they came out with some money, and hopefully they can start new careers and new businesses and opportunities. But they didn't get that Tom Brady media treatment. So they don't
Mm.
necessarily have this skill. So I have a lot of projects working on constantly. Of course, my own clients, one-on-one group classes. I have a lot of programs with Apple, Facebook, Google these days. I know you mentioned Lowe's and some of the other ones as well, but my gosh, I've got a big full workload, and I'm constantly adding and building on that.
Yeah, in YouTube, we want to invite you to go in the bio. We have all of Joshua's contact information in the bio. Please reach out. He has a website that can answer any questions that you may have, but please reach out to him directly.
Please.
If there are any services that you could use for yourself, um, he's a great guy. So,
Thank you, Mina. Thank you.
Joshua, what
Yes,
else?
ma'am.
Tell us about this big event that you got planned next week.
Well, it's something I do monthly or when I feel like it, frankly, because the last one we did was conflict resolution. I have a talk show on LinkedIn, and it's an audio event, and I'm literally just roaming around my office holding my phone. It's got isolated mic on there with the iPhone. It's very good quality. It sounds like I'm in a studio, and I produce a full 1 hour show. And so a couple months ago was conflict resolution. We were supposed to do term sheets and startups with a law firm client of mine this month. They had to travel, so they couldn't. And next week, as you know, we're going to be talking about the metaverse and VR, and you're going
Mm-hmm.
to be a guest, and Aaron and Jay as well. I know they have other names. Everybody's got real names, and then their names in the world. I can't keep everybody on track, but that'll be a wonderful opportunity to introduce these concepts to everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
so that'll be next week on November 14th, Thursday. It'll be 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So check your listings where you're located. So of course that's 2 o'clock Eastern, and you're going to have to go check your Time Buddy, that little app, to go find out where it is around the world because people are going to be zooming in. I know I work a lot with Europe and UK, and they'll be coming in the evening hours after work and while they're having dinner listening. And so that's a great opportunity to share and talk with folks about it. It's not about marketing per se. It's really about, hey, let's introduce and discuss concepts and ideas that people should know more about and want to know.
Mm-hmm. Well, we definitely will look forward to come and to speak next week. We have the CEO of Primitive Shapes and Builder Thunder Bills here today.
Hey,
Shout out
guys.
to the Primitive Shapes team. We look forward to meeting your audience, talking to them about what we're doing here in this space, answering any
Wonderful.
questions with you. So yeah, yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Well, it's been a
That's
joy
what's
working with you all, and I can anticipate this will be a long haul. We're in it for the long haul and build something exciting and something we're proud of, but also something quite unique.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Joshua, thank you for taking the time with us this afternoon to come and sit, to share your vision, insights about where you're headed here. Um, I love having vibrant people that already have their business established and ready to hit the ground running to add to the community here in the city of Adams. So it is a pleasure to have you here in the community. I'm sure you're going to be a huge role model for other
Oh,
businesses that are coming into this space. And we'll be counting on you. We'll be counting on
thank
you.
you. I appreciate it.
YouTube, thank you for joining us this evening. We're a little earlier, um, but we wanted to take this time to share with you, Joshua, here with Showman Communications Interactive here in the city of Adam. If you have any questions about anything that we discussed, all of the contact information is in the bio. You can visit primitiveshapes.ca to ask any questions about the city of Adam individually, as well as Joshua's contact information, like I mentioned, is also in the bio. We look forward to seeing you next week with another show. Thank you for joining us. All right. Good job.
Whoops. We're
Thank you.
out.
Yeah, we out.